And from the border of liberty and prosperity in the highway to the north, this is Safety Words for Wednesday, November 27th. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, or as my father used to call it, Turkey Day. I don't think he really liked turkey, to be honest with you. He liked pheasant, like venison. He liked many other things, but I don't think he really liked turkey. So he used to call it Turkey Day. Right? And I might be on the air tomorrow, assuming I'm not in an L-tryptophan haze from the turkey. We'll see. If I'm not, let me start out by saying this. I wanted to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving. If you're in the United States, we have Thanksgiving tomorrow. My wife has been cooking up a storm with the kids all day today, prepping everything. All the prep works. So tomorrow, everything just goes in the oven. While I was out there fighting that safety war with one of our clients today. What were we doing? We're putting together. I have a client. And it took me many years to develop this relationship and these safety meetings. And what we do is every year, today, right, the day before Thanksgiving, everybody and I give them their annual safety meetings for all of the following year. So they received all of their safety meetings for 2025, all planned out. We printed out because they're dealing with mobile crews. I know there's an online platform, but some of their people are not tech savvy. So everybody gets their annual training. And what happens is they're in third party auditing systems for certain clients out there. One of them being IS Networld, the other one being Avetta, and there are many, many other ones. And depending on what country you're in, there are different ones. And you are required to give training to your employees on every one of the topics that company tells you to obtain. So, for example, let's say that you're a painting contractor. You insert your NAICS code into that NAICS code, and this is the kind of painting we do. And then it tells you, and I believe it's 33 or 35 different sections that they give you, because it's very nuanced. I have several painting clients. Some of them is like 33, some of them 35, some of them 31. And all your health and safety plan has to address all 31 of those areas. And there's a questionnaire. And then on top of that, with the questionnaire and the topics and everything, you have to give training to your employees on that. So we do the training through safety meetings and annual meetings, and where we cover all the things. And that's the way we've been doing it. Very organized. Like I said, I do this with several clients right now, and so today was the day. So I had to drop off all of the things and go through it with the customer, and this is what we do here. And we also did them in English and we did them in Polish. So not only do we do it in English, we do it in Polish. And if this were a predominantly Spanish speaking client, they would all be in Spanish with that. And we also include human and organizational performance as part of that. So if you're looking to make a cultural change for your organization, that's what we do. That's what we do. We do all the safety meetings and that, and we're expanding that all the time. Stay tuned. I'm finally unburying myself from all the stuff going on out there. I had a conversation with another family member today. I was like, and it's unfortunate that that we've had so many deaths in the family over the last couple of years, because we want those family members, especially on days like tomorrow, Thanksgiving. But unfortunately, there's stuff that we haven't done in a long time that we are now getting to, whether they're home repairs, whether they're clean outs, getting rid of clutter, uh, going places with our families, with our wives and our children, things of that nature, even if the children are born. So, what I want to do, and I'll mention it again, thank you for. No, what am I thankful for? Thank you for being out there for me and encouraging me here. I had a alumni gathering last night uh, for my high school, and I got a lot of encouragement. Got a lot of comments too, but that's fine. A lot of encouragement where people want to, hey, maybe we should try this a little bit. Maybe you should try this a little bit. Maybe you should try this a little bit. And, I take them to heart and I improve as I'm able to. Uh, Monday night, I mean, I went on a little bit of a rant, I guess. I guess we could call it a rant, can't we? With all that's going on out there, with nuclear issues. Now, people are like, well, Jim, why are you doing nuclear issues here again? Uh, no, with that, and for whatever reason, one of these things, and so you just heard it, one of the things they start, I don't know, I don't know why they do that. Uh, they start late, don't know, but essentially, where were we? Uh, I want to thank you for being out there, listening. I really appreciate it. With that, uh, part of the reason why we do this podcast is to generate new business. And if you want me to advertise and review things and everything, you want to be a guest, contact me, Jim at safetywars.com, or at the number on that ticker there, 845-269-5772. We're going to go to our first commercial break, and we will get back to you. Let me do this. Do this here. Okay, so we're going to start. Uh, no, with what's going on here. So, as usual, I no. People say, "Well, why don't you screen share everybody else like all these other networks?" I don't like doing that because I don't like to deal with copyright violations and things of that nature. So we do fair use. But if it's a government website, I do put that up. And here we have VOA, Voice of America News. Now, right, this is all. So what's Voice of America? Voice of America is meant for foreign consumption. Up until recently, now that the government is allowed to uh, changed laws a number of years ago. Now we have access to this in this country, and as long as we attribute things and do not use like their videos, we're good. U.S. inflation gauge ticks higher with price pressures still stubborn. Consumer price increases accelerated last month. Latest sign that inflation's steady decline over the past 2 years has stalled. According to the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge, consumer prices rose 2.3% in October from a year earlier, and Commerce Department said Wednesday. That is up from 2.1 in September, though it's still only modestly above the Fed's 2% target. Yet now, right, and good things and bad things, right? Good things and bad things here and everything else. with inflation. I'm not going to get into the debate, but what's inflation? So that's like when you have a dollar, like a $1 bill, and so this year something costs like a dollar. Next year, you can look at it in two ways. It costs a dollar this year. Next year, it costs a dollar two, a dollar three, whatever, and you get inflation that way. Or you could say $1 now, and I know the math is a little bit fuzzy here. Now, that $1 from last year only buys 98 cents of what it could the year before. What does this mean? That means if you have your money in a bank, and I'm not recommending investments here, if you have your money in the bank, that's it eats away on your savings. So most Americans have very meager savings. So this inflation basically robs you of your buying power. That's why your investments and your savings had better be higher than the inflation rate. What's happened over the last 4 years, and I see these memes about eggs and your vote being based on the price of eggs. Okay, great. Well, okay, you want to be cute. You want to be cute with that. Oh, it's price of eggs. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. How about something like you're spending $20,000 over the last couple of years because of inflation on home goods, on things? I've heard estimates that high. Doesn't matter what it is, but you're spending a lot more money. So now you're spending money on this, but now you can't spend money on other things, right? Unless you're a really good investor here, you can't do as much as you could before. And the other thing is, is your job keeping up with the pace of inflation? Did your boss give you a 2% raise when the price of living went up 3%? That's like a cut, but it's so small that you don't really notice it, right? On things, the prices are coming down on certain items, but And the other thing is this: the government has changed how they calculate inflation, so they may not include certain things like energy, right? Uh, Here we have in the story from VOA, inflation has fallen sharply since it peaked at 7% in mid 2022, according to the Fed's preferred measure. Yet, yearly core inflation has been stuck at 2.8% since February. Price increases have remained elevated in services, including apartment rents, restaurant meals, and car and home insurance. So, with us, we do a lot of ordering on Amazon for basic stuff. So, you want to order like paper towels, you want to order uh, toilet paper. You want to order little things, right? Dental floss, what have you. Because what happens? Amazon is really good. I'm not giving them a plug, but they're really good because you're able to go and say, hey, oh, I got to put that on my shopping list. Now I find myself going to Amazon and saying, oh, okay, Amazon Prime, boom, boom, boom. I know the prices and everything else. I get a good deal. But this week, I noticed that paper towels have now shrunk. So they've shrunk. Now it's like three-quarters of a roll. I noticed that the other day in the auto parts store when I was getting parts for my car. That I go in there and the car parts, the box of rags is smaller. The rag roll that they sell is smaller. Right? I mean, this is the stuff that matters. Here is the stuff. Here we have cabinet nominees for the president, incoming President Trump. Several of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and appointees were targeted with violent threats, including bomb threats and swatting, meaning that you make a false police report. A spokesman for the U.S. president-elect said on Wednesday the threats were made Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, and law enforcement authorities acted quickly to ensure the safety of those targeted. Spokesperson Carol Levitt said in a statement. Levitt did not say who was targeted. Right? They're going to play their cards straight, close. She did not elaborate on the nature of the apparent threats. Spokespeople for the FBI and Justice Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Yeah, they probably went away for Thanksgiving. So that's basically it. What else we got here? So here we have, right, and this is a video.
At Food Bank for New York City, workers are busy moving and packing donated food headed to local food pantries and soup kitchens.
We are one of the largest hunger relief organizations serving all 5 boroughs. We operate and support over 90% of the zip codes that are located here in our city. And we do that through close partnership with over 800 nonprofit partners.
It's a busy time of year, as many Americans will join family and friends to celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. But a new report finds that in New York, the largest U.S. city, an increasing number of its residents are struggling to eat.
I know it's a
New
video.
York-based philanthropy Robin Hood tracked usage of the city's food pantries, finding that before the COVID-19 pandemic, 1 in 5, or 20% of adults, used a food pantry at least once between 2015 and 2019. That has jumped to 31%, or nearly 1 in 3 adults, in the year since. The face of hunger has also changed, Tisdale says.
Okay, so if you go on there, people who would not normally be seeking these services are now seeking their services, and more people are using them. Right, as an absolute number, more people are using them. It's a disgrace. In my opinion, it's a disgrace. Trump's CPA pick vows to restore U.S. energy dominance. This is a local here for us in New York. Lee Zeldin, he ran for governor. Pardon me, I got the hiccups. When U.S. President-elect Donald Trump nominated former Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin to lead the Environmental Protection Agency, Trump described him as a true fighter for America First policies. Zeldin, this statement added, spent 8 years in Congress as a vocal advocate on foreign policy, border security, military benefits, combating anti-Semitism, environmental issues, and energy policy. Shortly after the announcement was made, Zeldin, a native from Long Island, New York, who is married with twin daughters, took to the X social media platform, which we are on, leaving no doubt about his priorities for his new role. He promised to restore U.S. energy dominance, revitalize the auto industry, bring back jobs, and make the U.S. the global leader of AI. Zeldin, who has a law degree from Albany Law School, has vowed to protect access to clean air and clean water, while in Congress he voted in favor of limiting the presences of forever chemicals, PFAS, right, in drinking water. He stood against offshore drilling in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to protect coastal communities and marine wildlife from oil spills. Environmental organizations have also highlighted Zeldin's support for the Great American Outdoors Act, which increased funding for the maintenance of public lands and waters. However, he's been identified as voting for environmental legislation 14% of the time. I'm going to tell you what, they have some very good things to say about him with this. On the climate issue, not so much. And we've had shows here on Safety Wars with the with critics of climate policy, and I've never been a real true believer in this stuff. I think the policies that they enact here are not actually addressing the issue. So if they're going and they're saying you have to do this stuff to save the planet, quote unquote, save the planet. I'll use a 1980s phrase there. Why aren't they going and proposing stuff that will actually address it? Because all that I see out there is they're reducing the rate of increase according to their models. The models, once you do a real deep dive on that, I understand the arguments. Believe me, I've done deep dives on them in my personal life, especially in graduate school, which now, the models that they're using to make policy today and propose policy today are like 10 or 15 years old because that's how long it takes for this stuff to get out there in the ether, so to speak. True, Pravda there, all right? And what you see is the whole issue attention cycle thing. were we going to go, we're going to rile things up, we're going to focus on this, and then we're going to make the public believe that the problem is solved and we don't need any further legislation, and then we start all over again. It's incrementalism. And the problem with incrementalism, for me, I'm talking Jimmy Polsel here, is it's not, right? It's never actually solves the problem because you're always moving and you're always moving and you're always moving. That's the problem with incrementalism. And people like to run on this stuff for political office and continuously make political hay and right. So, and Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. One of the rules for radicals is to keep the pressure on. Just keep the pressure on. You can't continue to keep the pressure on. Sooner or later, there's going to be blowback, and it's not pretty with that. As opposed to, we're going to solve a problem, and this is what the solution is. We're going to solve the problem, and then move on to the other problem. That's the way we want to be, in my opinion. But to perpetually have problems again and again and again and again, it's nuts out there with that. So we're going to move on to some of the other news here that I cannot share screen on. This is from basically the border stuff here. All right. So Texas unveils its new border area ranch site of proposed deportation detention facility. Texas unveiled its newly acquired border ranch, offered as the site of detention facilities to help the Trump administration with proposed mass deportations, and Texas Land Commissioner Dawn Buckingham said Tuesday the state is looking to identify additional land to aid the federal government. And they have up to 13 million acres of land available for this. I don't know how this is going to pan out because usually the way things rolled the last time Donald Trump was in office was make these bold statements and then everybody goes, ah! He made a bold statement and then either he walks it back or they say, oh, maybe we need to negotiate. Right? So, I mean, that is a technique for negotiation that is often used in a safety war. How many times has that happened to you out on a job? Right? With that. Then you have the in the old-fashioned safety struggles, right? A struggle session, right? Like the communist Chinese, where they're out there and you have to go and admit your guilt with that, right? Someone tried to do that to me online today. I told them fly a kite. Last time Donald Trump was president, rumors of immigration raids terrorized the Oregon community where Gustavo, this is from the Associated Press, was the school superintendent. Word spread that immigration agents were going to try to enter schools. There was no truth to it, but school staff members had to find students who were avoiding school and coax them back to class. People started ducking and hiding. Educators from around the country are bracing for upheaval. With that, we're going after children of immigrants. I don't think that's going to happen. It didn't happen last time. With that. My question is, if they're missing, where are they? Because aren't we getting a lot of reports from the Department of Labor, DOL, that these students that are, people are using child labor again? A lot of child labor crackdowns there. So with that, are those the kids that they're talking about that will go into the workforce, or they're being used for very nefarious purposes? And we already mentioned this. So Marjorie Taylor Greene. I tried to get her on the show, right? But someone said, yeah. I was at an event and she was at the event. I said, maybe I could get her on the show. Oh, she didn't, They were like, her handlers were like, no. Okay, no problem. Right-wing lawmaker Marjorie Taylor Greene is baselessly accused Democrats of stealing of and this was written by AI. It's from the independent.co.uk. Right-wing lawmaker Marjorie Taylor Greene is basically baselessly accusing Democrats of stealing a House race. Stealing is in quotes, as Republicans cling onto a slim majority next Congress. Incumbent John Duarte, a Republican, is facing off against Democratic challenger Adam Gray in Northern California as election workers count the ballots. Gary has folded into a slight lead of 22 days on. Oh, what? We got visitors here. What's going on, honey?
I need help. I lost my phone under the couch, I believe.
Okay, when I'm done here, we will look for your phone.
Dad, when's that?
I'm on live, hon. I'm live. We'll be done. I don't know. How many minutes are we into this now? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure how many minutes we're into this. Hold on. 26 minutes into it, so we got maybe I'll try to go for another half an hour, but I'm not on Safety FM Live, so I don't have to go for the full hour. All right. Okay. Okay. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know. These accusations go on out there and everything else. And this is one of the races that are extremely close. As of last evening, the race was separated by 182 votes. And there are around 15, as of last night, there were 1,500 ballots that are still challenged, mostly because of the voters' signatures, according to Merced, County Registrar of Voters, Melvin Levy. So, it is what it is, these ballots. And what's funny is when I was 3-ring hole punching these everything this morning to get into binders, right? I handle everything myself. Because it's gotta be perfect. So we had the little hole punch things. What they're called chads. And if you remember, in the election of 2000, they had a hanging chad problem on ballots in Florida. They never emptied out the voting machines where you had to punch the hole in there. They were working on punch cards, basically. Record small majority. So the GOP, as of today has a small majority in the incoming Congress, which means it's going to be, the smallest House majority since the day of President Herbert Hoover. Is what somebody said. Moreover, the GOP majority of 220 may shrink to 217 for a period of time, as several members leaving Congress either join Trump administration or resigning. So, for example, Representative Matt Gaetz resigned following his failed nomination as Trump's attorney, while Representatives Elise Stefanik and Mike Waltz will join the incoming administration. So we'll see what happens. They're saying things may be difficult in there. On to more border stuff here. Mexico warns Trump tariffs would kill 400,000 U.S. jobs and threatens retaliation. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Wednesday Mexico would retaliate if U.S. President-elect Donald Trump followed through with his proposed 25% across-the-board tariff, a move her government warned could kill 400,000 jobs and drive up prices for U.S. consumers. Well, this is what some of the issue is. In the environmental policy arena here, they have a situation. Now, it was often said when I was in college, in graduate school, in college at least, was that companies are not paying the full price of their environmental issues and of their environmental situations, where we have either direct subsidies, we have indirect subsidies, we have tangibles, we have intangibles, right? And we would call it context-driving behavior in the HOP world. So, what's my point? What's my point on all this stuff? With all this stuff is, right, when we allow migrant workers in with almost no regulation here, and we're undocumented, illegal, whatever term you want to use, its impact on the full economy is not realized. So, for example, if we're paying these people, and most of them, I imagine most of them are being paid off the books, is the thing. All right. Number one. Number two, or they're being paid very low wages. Or in this country, it's considered low, but when they go back to whatever country they're from, if they go back, it's a huge. No, you're living like you live in La Vida Loco. So you're not the full impact of these crises are not being felt. All of the situation not being felt, and like during COVID, where they closed the border in 2020, try to go to a restaurant, nobody's working. Right, that was the migrant crisis. We were up in Lake George, New York, at a very popular restaurant on there that year, and during COVID, and restaurant had one server, local kid, right, and the manager says normally, hey, this is the price of illegal immigration, but no, implied illegal immigration. We're not absorbing the full price. So when we have these tariffs in there, part of the thing is that it will be the president's promise is that it will help us realize the full impact of this here. And they say, well, people won't be in there and there's going to be a shortage of laborers. Yeah, okay, there's going to be a shortage of laborers. Maybe we'll get more market forces in here. Maybe this will force Congress to maybe do something. We should have a workable government here at this point with the same party in power, both legislative houses and a president. Hopefully, we have a working type thing, but part of this is to make people realize what the full impact is. We can't be so. For example, we can't be doing the whole credit card thing, right? Whipping out the credit card and running deficits. Now, I'm going to offend some people here. I know that, and I really don't care at this point because I don't think people are out there thinking, how do we not offend Jim Posel? I don't think that's happening. So some people are, hopefully, but it doesn't happen that. So I'm just going to let this go. All right, Thanksgiving made me tense this year. Maryland's look at legalizing mushrooms might help. A divisive election. This is from Yahoo Life. From the Baltimore Sun, Riley Gutierrez McDermott from the Baltimore Sun, a divisive election to at least two major wars raging in Europe and the Middle East, and the ever-present pitfalls of internal family politics. Together, they may make for one of the nation's census Thanksgivings yet. Pardon me. Yes. As I don't destroy your family relationships over politics. Believe me, not worth it. Together, they may make for one of the nation's census Thanksgivings yet, or you could consider eating some psychedelic mushrooms to up your overall sense of love and sail right through it, to extras told the Baltimore Sun. Okay, here's me saying this, not anyone else on the network. Is part of the strategy to keep with all the legalized drugs and marijuana and what we call cannabis, right? We're gonna make it sound fancy. We're gonna call it cannabis. Is it and everything? Is this to keep everybody high so they don't know what's going on? Right? And that's my question. I know there are mushrooms out there that have been proven to have medicinal value, and I'm sure that Senator Kennedy and not Senator Kennedy, sorry, misspoke. There is a Senator Kennedy. That Robert F. Kennedy and them will be promoting this if and when they are confirmed to the government. I'm getting a note. Okay. And here. You do it. So I'm sure that some of this stuff will be like used because psychedelics do have a legitimate medicinal use. Same thing with cannabis and everything. A lot of people believe that, but widespread use of cannabis, I'm sorry, not a good thing. keeping everybody high and happy and everything. So we don't know that. No, and one of the impacts is there are no problems. I got my little, marijuana there going on. The same thing happened in the 1930s with the with when they rescinded. I forget which amendment it was, which outlawed alcohol. One of the things was, well, I learned in history, everybody's all depressed, everybody's all everything anxious, they're in a depression, right? Early 1930s. Well, let's get them drunk. You get them drunk. Now it's all happy. Happy days are here again, right? Oh, the way Glenn Miller played songs that made the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days, right? That's what they're doing. If you know where that song comes from, you're old. But that's my opinion here. Keep everybody doped up. The other thing is we have to worry about fentanyl. Over 100,000 people a year die from fentanyl. That's double the amount of workplace fatalities when you figure in all the IH issues, right? They're in there, 55,000 a year, OSHA estimates. Between OSHA recordables and the long-term thing. So double that. Big issue. We're losing the whole demographic here. Also, here. And yeah, just let it come in. And this is part of the tariff thing that President Trump is proposing, is to have other countries pay for this. How it's going to impact us, I don't know. I'm not advocating one way or another way. Here, I'm just giving information. Here. Okay, and now from the Las Vegas Review. Shrooms related, here's another one. Shrooms related bill could be passed by Nevada lawmakers next year. When Jonathan Dalton first heard about psychedelic therapy, it sounded like a bunch of hippie drugs or hippie veterans. As a Navy SEAL with a 23-year career, Dalton began to suffer from depression and anxiety and was looking for reprieve. Through the VA, he was prescribed SSRIs, serotonin something updating inhibitors. They're often called also. Serotonin, something like that. Drugs used to treat depression and anxiety, but they didn't work. So Dalton started researching psychedelic assisted therapy after it was recommended by another veteran. He learned it had helped many veterans like him, but he was skeptical. And guess what? Okay, medicinal use of these, good. Is there medicinal use for marijuana? A lot of people believe so. But I'm just saying, everybody, it's gotten to the point in New York City, or if you're around here in New York, you're stopped in traffic in the middle of the summer, you have your window down. You could, it's like Up in Smoke, that old Cheech and Chong movie, smoke coming out. Smell it 3 or 4 vehicles down. Is that really what we want? I don't know. Okay. This is from Barron's. 2025 could be a horrendous for car sales. U.S. auto industry faces a confusing, potentially dire situation heading into 2025, with tariffs, tax credits, and emissions regulations and all in flux, creating nearly unprecedented uncertainty for investors. I tell you what, people are still buying them. I mean, we have right here in New Jersey, in Bergen County, there is a Tesla dealer. I tell you what, you want to go this? I don't know anywhere else in the country. I do know in my neighborhood, it seems like every other car is a Tesla or other electric vehicle here. I don't know. It's but the thing is, without government subsidies, which are due to expire during the next 4 years, we'll see where this goes. Could it be that is one of the reasons why Elon Musk is so involved with President Trump? I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking the question. Nissan execs sound the alarm on an increasingly dire situation. After posting net losses early this year, Nissan CEO Makoto Uchida said the extremely tough situation will force some into bold restructuring moves. In addition to downgrades to its full year sales and operating outlooks, set to save $3 billion annually, going on and on and on. So basically, they're expecting a drop in vehicle production. Now, isn't this one calling the pot calling the kettle black? Alec Baldwin, Americans are very uninformed about reality. Oh, really? What reality is that? We covered your case here with the rust reduction thing. Maybe you shouldn't be going around calling people uninformed about reality. Usually, when I've done that, it's usually been, with that in, you're usually wrong. You don't understand context. It's easier to judge than to be judged, as my mother used to say. So you don't go around judging people. Actor claims population is uneducated and people do not understand biggest topics in the world, including Ukraine and Israel. Oh, is that what it is? They have a disagreement with you. All of a sudden, you're uninformed. You're uninformed. You don't know what you're talking about. Or as someone said to a relative of mine, don't be, why are you so naive? Why are you so naive? That's it, And somebody, and I said to the guy, I said to him, 20 years ago, someone said that to you. They said, why are you so naive? And you said, why are you such an asshole? And it shut the person right up. You couldn't do that. It was a workplace setting this time. Alec Baldwin claimed Americans are uninformed about reality and do not understand the world's important issues like Israel and climate change. Well, based on the video, you don't understand you have the right to remain silent. Because had you remained silent, you wouldn't have had to drag everybody through 2 years of legal cases here and spend, I don't know how much money you spent on lawyers here with this. All right. The actor, 66, says he believes the country population is uneducated in a vacuum and is filled by media and the film industry, which he's a member of. I added that. Speaking in a press conference as he accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Torino Film Festival, he said, television news in the United States is a business. They have to make money. There's a hole. There's a vacuum. There's a gap, if you will, in information for Americans. Right? So, Sharon Stone says U.S., and here's the one, is in a state of ignorant, arrogant adolescence. Really, put everybody down. Let's see how that's going to work out for you. Putting everybody down. So we have a couple of, surprising stories here. They're linked together here. So we have people, and it goes on both sides. Hey, if this person wins the election, I'm moving. If this person wins the election, I'm doing this. Well, here we have one here. Not as easy as you think. Moving to Canada to avoid Trump. After Joe Biden's disastrous TV, and this is from Barron's here. After Joe Biden's disastrous TV debate with Donald Trump when the president's re-election process began unraveling, Vancouver immigration lawyer Randall Cohn started getting calls from Americans. Within the first panic period, the surge is reduced, blah, 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 blah. And, people expatriate all the time, but there is, that's what they call it, expatriate. However, moving to Canada, guess what? They have certain requirements. Like, I believe one of them, the article doesn't go in there, but you got to have your own money and everything else there. They just don't let you in. You have to have arrangements. You have to have, right? There's things going on here. The other thing is try to get away from the IRS by moving to another country. They don't let you go, dude. That's just the way. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're evil. But a lot of people try to move to another country to tax dodge. Guess what? They're going to look at that. I don't blame them. Sort of like with our parody thing, our commercial that we played, where I don't know if it was today or Monday, where an employers took all the money and went to Eastern Europe with all the money, after a fatality. So, people threaten this all the time. It's not as easy as you think to move to Canada. Now, Going on here, and was reported today on all the wires here in New York, in the New York City area. New York state legislatures have hinted at using unusual tactics to combat the incoming Trump administration, including holding back federal taxes. Try that one, because I tell you what, one of the reasons why taxes in New York are paid in like Kentucky, right? Check your tax form; they're paid in Kentucky. One of the reasons why they have that is so somebody doesn't pull some crap like what they're saying. New York state legislators have hinted at using unusual tactics to combat the incoming Trump administration, including holding back federal taxes and leaving the United States to join Canada. State Senator Liz Krueger, a prominent Democrat from New York City who is also chairwoman of the State Senate Finance Committee, proposed the ideas as state Democrats only have weeks to counter President-elect Donald Trump before he takes office. Krueger believes such thinking is warranted. It's not unreasonable to think outside the box. While New York becoming Canadian progress could be a fairy tale ending for Krueger, the state withholding federal taxes is only slightly more likely. State Senator hinted at such the idea if Trump chooses to send less federal funding to New York, something he has suggested if some cities won't work with federal immigration authorities. And going on and on. With that, a complete block of federal funding will leave New York $85 billion in the hole, as Krueger suggested. So is Canada going to pick up that slack? I don't think so. Canada has its own problems, if you've been paying attention. Trump says Mexico agreed to bar migration across the U.S. border effective immediately. The conversation comes one day after the president of Mexico issued a warning to Trump about his intentions to apply a 25% tariff. This is from the Epoch Times. President-elect Donald Trump said on November 27th that he had just spoken with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and that Mexico agreed to prevent illegal immigrants from going across the southern border effective immediately. This was on from Donald Trump on Truth Social. He said, quote, just had a wonderful conversation with the new president of Mexico. She has agreed to stop migration through Mexico into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. We also talked about what can be done to stop the massive drug inflow to the United States, also U.S. consumption of these drugs. Okay, so this goes by what I said before, which is make some threats, make some, hey, and then all of a sudden people negotiate. Now we're going to finish off with nuclear issues here, right? And I want to do them together. But this is one hell of a story. You talk about the 1,000 ways to die. Cat killer, pet owner scratched to death by his cat that clawed his legs and caused severe blood loss when he stopped it running away. Neighbors successfully tried to stop the bleeding to save Dmitry. This is Dmitry Utkin, 55, tragically died in his home in the Leningrad region of Russia from severe blood loss. Yeah, those orange cats, man. You had an orange cat. You have an orange cat. Those are like not the cats you want to mess with. Dmitry found Ethiopia and brought him home back to the region's Kurinsky district on Friday, November 22nd, after the pet fled and ran away 2 days earlier. The disaster struck when the owner and his orange cat came back inside. That evening, the ferocious feline scratched his leg, causing him to bleed. Dmitry, who was diabetic, could not stop the blood loss to his body's ability to form clots. My thinking is that he had not only diabetes, but he probably had a blood clotting issue. Also, and some of the medications do not allow your blood to clot. The disaster worsened because Dmitry was home alone as his wife was out, forcing him to call his neighbors to say he was dying. He also managed to call the medics when his bleeding would not stop. A local police officer confirmed the death of the injuries. It meant he died before paramedics could arrive. Okay. I know I worked with a guy who got into a fight with his own cat, and it was not good for him. Now, nuclear issues here. Now, this is out of Reuters. This is not a right-wing rag. This is Reuters. Exclusive nuclear attack unlikely despite Putin's warnings, U.S. intelligence says. The U.S. decision to allow Ukraine to fire American weapons deeper into Russia has not increased the risk of nuclear attack, which is unlikely despite Russian President Vladimir Putin's increasingly bellicose statements. 5 sources familiar with the U.S. intelligence told Reuters, but Russia is likely to expand the campaign of sabotage against European targets to increase pressure on the West. Okay, well, this is a game of chicken I don't think we should be playing. I'm going to put it out there. And look back on Monday's program. Nordics on Baltic seas and Poland ready to expand Russia's sanctions. Baltic and Nordic region nations, as well as Poland, are ready to step up sanctions against Russia and backers of its Ukraine invasion, the countries said Wednesday at a summit in Sweden. Russia has been hit with hefty sanctions in the wake of a 2022 assault, which have prompted Western nations to provide billions of dollars in aid, and it goes on and on and on. Okay. Kremlin tries to reassure panicking Russians over collapsing ruble. War and sanctions hit the economy much harder than Moscow predicted, analysts say. This is from telegraph.co.uk. Article by James Kilner. The Kremlin has tried to reassure Russians they will not be affected by the sudden collapse of the ruble. They're spelling ruble differently than they did in the 1980s here, which has plunged to its lowest level since the invasion of Ukraine. Russians won't notice the dollar exchange rate increase because they are paid in rubles. Hit by strong inflationary pressures linked to Western sanctions, Kremlin spending is nearly 3-year war. Okay, so here's what it comes down to. I'm not a historian, but based on my knowledge of history, this kind of shit starts wars or escalates wars, right? So, what's my point? They got to sit down at a negotiation table and finish and come to an agreement, like they did with Israel this week. So that's all I have. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for supporting me. I want to thank everybody out there, doing the thing. Remember, we're fighting that safety war out here, and that's what we do every day to make sure that we can have another Thanksgiving with our loved ones. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Polzel. Okay, and of course, I hit the wrong button.
Dad. Dad.